All right, and welcome back, you guys, to another draw stream. And it's been a while since we did one, but with the recent news, I think we all kind of know that this needed to happen. At least I did, anyways. Um, I I really felt like I needed to go live today, just to pay my respects to Peter Cullen, who sadly passed away this week. Um, a day right before my birthday, so kind of threw a damper in my day. So, um, but that's not what this video is about. This is gonna be about, obviously, Peter Collins celebrating, kind of, and just kind of just talking about how he who he was as a person, or as much as we can, obviously, because we don't really, obviously we can't know what he was like every minute of the day, but we can always talk about our experiences, whether it be from our enjoyment of his work or our actual interactions, if if people were lucky enough, like me, to have actually met the guy, which was a real blessing. Like, there's not going to be a moment in my life, I don't think, it's going to hit as much as be as impactful, I don't think. Well, when it comes to like meeting like celebrities and stuff, like I don't think anything's going to compare to meeting Peter Cullen. Um, you know, and I'll talk about that as we go. But yeah, just figured I'd. But today we're going to be working on an Optimus Prime piece. I might even turn this into a little a thing we do on this channel from now on. Every August, every, I guess, kind of quote unquote birthday stream, maybe we'll do like an Optimus Prime or a Peter Cullen inspired piece. Because it doesn't that just have to be Optimus Prime. Because he did play a lot of different characters. He's got a huge body of work, but obviously Optimus Prime is the most iconic. But we can always do something like an Eeyore, maybe, if people want that, or an Ironhide, But today we're focusing on my personal favorite character he's ever played, and that's Optimus Prime. So I did a horrible job of racing. And today I think we're going to go for something little bit different. I don't really do this very often, but I think for this piece in particular, I think I'm going to go for I'm going to go for like gray tones mostly. I just think it's kind of appropriate for this one. So I think I'll just pull all of my cool grays, and let's see. Yeah, I think we'll just do that. I think that'll make the most sense. Just gotta make sure my pens still work. I haven't used them in months. You're working. So, um, yeah. So we're gonna kind of. I guess we're gonna kind of. I gotta pick my colors here for a minute. So I don't know if I want to introduce. Okay, so I think we'll have C7. We'll also have some blacks, obviously. Um, and I might pull in some tone grays if I need them. So, but yeah. So we'll start with the lighter areas, I think. So we'll kind of map those out. We'll kind of get these shadows going. Yeah, we'll kind of start with the face, under face here, and we'll do the face plate. But yeah, it was kind of a very very big shot. Not too big of a shot, because I think all of us as fans of Transformers who've been following Peter story, we all kind of saw this coming. At least maybe not so soon, but we've kind of been feeling it for a while. I think because he's been having health issues for a while now, anyways. So, but it is still very very shocking and very very sad that it happened the way that it did. Um, um, But yeah, I guess let's talk about when I first met him, at least, kind of, yeah, which was actually in Las Vegas. So basically, the story is that my dad was having a birthday party, sort of with the whole family, like his side of the family, because obviously my parents are divorced, and so um, just his side of the family was going. And I didn't really. Now the funny thing is, I didn't know about the whole party, the whole trip until like last minute. Um, so I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to go. And then I found out that there was also a convention, a toy convention going on at the exact same time, exact same dates that we would be going to Vegas. And my tune actually kind of just changed because I was kind of like, it's like, I'm kind of a iffy on going. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go. You know, spend that kind of, because it was like $900 to get a ticket. But then once I found out that Peter Cullen was going to be at a convention that I could walk to from the hotel, I was just like, yep, I'm going. It's like, uh, I probably still would have ended up going anyways because Vegas, cool city. But yeah, it was just kind of crazy how it happened, and it was very, very memorable moment. Now, my second time meeting him, I'll talk about it later, but I definitely had more time to actually talk to these guys. Um, you know, because I met Peter Cullen and Frank Welker, as well as Greg Brigger at that convention. So I'll just talk about the first one, so I don't get sidetracked easily, because I haven't a lot. And I start talking about Transformers. But yeah, so it was kind of a strange day because it's kind of funny how I got to the convention because I actually had the location wrong, like when I first like on the day of when we got there. Oh, it's a little bit dark actually. Hold on. Just noticing that. Yeah, I mean, it's not really dark in the areas on color, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Makes it more sharp. Maybe we can do that. It kind of helps. Just trying to fix that guy. Sorry. I mean, it kind of showed. Yeah. Need better lighting here, dude. It's the bane of my existence here. But what's funny is like I got the hotel where the convention was being hosted at wrong. Like I thought, because I don't know why, I thought it was at the Circus Hotel for whatever reason. I don't know. I can't really remember how that happened, but yeah, because I didn't take any public transport or anything like that because I just didn't want to do that. Didn't want to have to pay for it because I was cheap. So I already paid enough, a whole lot for the trip, anyways. Yeah, but I'm just gonna go all through all this stuff here. But yeah, so it was actually at the Westgate Hotel, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, it was actually a pretty long day for me, anyways. Like I, stood in well first before I met Peter and Frank. I actually met Greg Berger first, who's at one of the uh, sort of one of the autograph booths and stuff like that. And surprisingly, Michael Bell was there actually, but I'm really kicking myself in the pants because the reason why I didn't go meet Michael Bell was because I needed to. I think I had to get in line to meet Peter Cullen like early, um, and Frank Welker, and I love Michael Bell, but Frank and Peter kind of take. I don't want to say take more precedence, that's kind of rude, but they're the ones I wanted to meet the most, and it was just kind of a. But honestly, looking back though, I probably could have made it though. I could have gone to both, uh, gone and met Michael Bell, and then come back to Peter and Frank. But it is what it is. Just win some, you lose some. But yeah, Greg Berger was awesome though. He's a really good guy. A lot of fun guy. A lot of fun to meet. Um, most important thing really when it comes to coloring this stuff is to kind of get the shadows where you think the shadows would go. So like I'm just kind of the light source is going this way in my mind. So yeah, but like yeah, so and also I made some drawings for both Peter, Frank, and Greg when I met them. Now I'll be real, the drawings I made weren't that good because I didn't have a lot of time. I was kind of working a lot, so I wasn't really able to get anything together at the time. Um, so because I just drew it on the plane to Vegas, and it was like a day and so or so before the convention, so it wasn't really my best work that I gave them. Uh, but yeah, but I always like to kind of bring gifts to the actors that I meet, if I can. Just show my appreciation more than just what you paid for. When it comes to like the tickets and all that. Like, because to me, like when it comes to like act, especially with Peter Cullen and Frank Walker, like I really admire those guys, and their work and all that, and their body of work, and I felt like they deserved a lot more than just what they were given at the convention. Yeah, refill. All these guys here. Probably just gonna use these guys. Let's see one. Might need to blender. Oh well. Might be in my on my ground. I'm not organized at all today. Motherfucker. Alright, found it. I'm gonna move it. Thanks, dumb brain, for packed me. Alright. Just kind of felt my marker dying on me. There we go. Got that juicy ink in there. Alright. I'll get the tip as well, so to speak. Okay, that should be enough. But yeah. So when let's see, where was I with the story? Got sidetracked. So yeah, I went to the convention. I started off by meeting Greg Berger, and then before I went anywhere else, I'm trying to remember what I did first because I remember I got Drift, the MMC Drift, at one of the toy booths. So just get rid of all this excess. There we go. And so that's where I got my MMC Drift, which is one figure I will never get rid of, even though I really want the new Drift that came out. It's more G1 style, but I can't get rid of that one, the one I got, because old memories. My first time meeting Frank and Peter, so I can't get rid of it. It will always have a place in my collection. But I can't remember if I got that one right before I went and got online for Peter, Cullen, and Frank. So I did. I shoot myself, my past self, because I could have gotten and met Michael Bell, but yeah, it is what it is. You can't really change the past. So if there's another opportunity, I definitely will, though. Like, it's one thing I kind of learned from my blunder of not meeting Carrie Fisher when I had the chance. It's like, cause I think it was like right before she passed away when I passed up the opportunity, like at the convention of that. I think it was like kind of a couple months before she passed. So yeah. So I've kind of learned to be a bit more conscious of that, especially for the older actors. You know, like if you want to meet someone, if you really want to meet somebody, go for it. Like, you know, you might not get another chance. Like in general, you know, because not just older actors, because with the Hayden Panettiere, who also passed away recently. You know, it's like doesn't matter how young you are, you're always subject to the laws of nature. Yeah. So, so if you admire someone, you know, don't ever be afraid to go and see what they're up to or go meet them. You know, if you really want to meet them, anyways. Always meet someone who's always go out and meet someone who's been important to you in any uh, aspect of your life. You know, 'cause you might regret it if you don't. But yeah, so but then after meeting Greg Berger, I kind of wandered around for a bit before because my feet were really tired, really sore that day too. Like because I was standing, walking all day. So I kind of just sat down at the in the lineup for Peter Cullen and Frank Welker because they were kind of last ones there. Um, or no, I think they were doing the photo shoots. That's why they were kind of a little bit late. But yeah, it's okay. But yeah, so it was like I think it was like a 2 hour like long like lineup actually, if I remember correctly. Like, it was a long ass time. I was like just waiting. And also, and it was kind of annoying because I was texting my dad and my stepmom at the time, back and forth saying, "Hey, it might be an hour or it might be 2 hours before I meet up with you guys." 'Cause I promised to meet up with them at some point during the day, and so I was just like, my feet were killing me back then, and then I had to end up walking back to where I was meeting them at. So, which was a very very long walk. Actually, it was about a couple hours almost, or maybe I think maybe 1 or 2 hour walk. I can't remember because yeah, because it was from the Westgate Hotel up to I think the Neon Sign Museum or whatever it was called, which I didn't get to see actually because I was just too fucking tired when I got to it. Eventually, I just sat down, grabbed a O. Henry, and just sat down and just chilled out. But it was all worth it, when I finally did get to the signing and meeting Peter and Frank. It was very, very brief. But I actually did get to hear Frank Welker do his Megatron voice in person for a brief second. But it was still pretty cool because I gave him his drawing. He was like, "Ah, it's Megatron." I did his Megatron voice, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, but I had a bit more time talking to Frank that point. Uh, at that um, at that point, just because Peter Collins' line was really big and they were moving really, and so it was kind of like a get in, get out sort of a thing for Peter, because there's just a lot, there's a huge lineup and all that. So, but so you couldn't see it, but you couldn't really get a personalized message. It was just kind of autograph and go kind of thing almost. Um, but it was really really great. I still was able to. I was still able to give him his drawing though, and he shook my hand, thanked me, and I left. And that was enough for me, personally back then. But I had the fortune of meeting him a second time when he came to my neck of the woods back in, I think, 2024. So the Vegas trip was in 2019, I think, 2018, 2019. And then the more recent time, I think it was 2024, when I met him in person um, in my hometown. So, which was really, really cool. And I actually had a bit more time with Peter and Frank this time around because it was a bit smaller sort of turnaround as opposed to Vegas. So, and I got there really, really early too. So it was a lot easier to kind of get in there. And I even got a picture with him too. I got a nice framed picture of me meeting Frank and Peter, which is great. Um, so cherished forever now. I was going to cherish it forever anyways, but yeah. All right, I think we're good for the face. I think I'll wait. No, let's just keep going. Let's just kind of just blend that out, darken this area a bit. And I think we'll do the windows, and we'll do the little gray part in this light gray, and then we'll figure out what colors we want to do for the reds and the blue parts of it. Just a minute. First, I'm going to touch up this area. Start by casting our main sort of shadow here, then shadow here. But yeah, so Peter, when he came to my neck of the woods, he was the first one I actually met before Frank, which it's kind of goofy because what happened, because basically I was in line for Frank, but then he ended up leaving to do one of those like fan personal meetups, like, which is something I didn't realize. I thought, because at first I thought I could get that. It was like the fan experience thing where you could have a more intimate conversation with them, for lack of a better term. More personal sort of a thing. But I didn't realize, but I thought I was under the impression at the time that I could just, you know, go in and pay for it in person, but that wasn't the case at all. You had to prepay for it online, so I didn't get to have that experience, but I did get the photograph afterwards. And well, after that, went to go meet Frank Welker, and then I went and met, and then I did the picture afterwards, and then that was kind of my. Well, actually, I also met. Gosh, I can't remember her name. The voice actress for Little Mermaid, actually at that convention as well. Um, got her autograph because I wanted to give my nieces something really nice. So I met Ariel, and I got the autograph for them. So hopefully one day they'll appreciate it. But if not, you can always like sell it and get money from it. But I would hope they'd keep it and cherish it though, because stuff like stuff like that's really hard to come by these days. Or sometimes those kinds of things like signed prints and all that, they're kind of timeless. But yeah. Let's see. Let's do Windows now. Kind of messy inks here. I'll tidy that up eventually, but I'm debating whether or not to bring in my warm grays for just the reds of Prime here. I haven't fully committed yet. But yeah, it was really cool meeting both Frank and Peter because I actually did give them both some artwork, which were 10 times better than the work that I did last year or the first time I met them. And I believe I streamed those too. I think I streamed the Megatron and Prime that I drew that I eventually gave to Peter and Frank. And both are very sweet, very just really kind, gentle gentlemen, for lack of a better term. So they're very cool to meet. Um, you know, they're both very both of them are equally very generous with their time with their fans. Um, you know, because it's very easy to kind of assume that everybody in Hollywood, in the show business is just an asshole, because there is a lot of assholes in there. Not to, but it is nice to know that there are still some who are very humble still. Especially someone like Frank Walker, who's one of the most I think he's the highest paid at least voice actors of all time because he did so much work. I believe I believe he said that he did like 12 shows in like one day, which is pretty crazy to think about. Oh, shit. Like he did 12 different recordings for a TV show, or 12 different shows in one whole day, which was pretty nuts. So back then, animation was everywhere. That was everything. My markers. I should do this. But yeah. Frank and Peter were very generous, very very much a class act. Both of them, like they're both really good people. You know, um, like I don't think you'll ever hear like a bad interaction that anyone uh, has ever had with either of them. I don't think you'll ever hear that from anybody. They're both very kind and generous to their fans, um, which is kind of rare. Not that it's not rare, because I know that there are probably other celebrities who do cherish and care for the fans just as much as Frank and Peter do, but I think there's always kind of been this like really special bond, between Peter Cullen and the Transformers fans. There's this. I think it has to do with the fact that it was the fans that kind of pushed Paramount to bring him back for the movies. Because for those that don't really know or aren't really as familiar with the franchise, like Peter Cullen had been gone for a very long time, almost a decade after the original cartoon ended, um, because he went on to do other things after the series went off the air. They brought in new actors like Gary Chalk and Neil Kaplan to play him in different shows, and so he wasn't really around as much for Transformers. And it wasn't until the internet came around where and when it was announced that they would be doing a live action film, uh, fans on message boards everywhere were just like, dude, this movie is not going to work if you do not bring back Peter Cullen and Frank Welker. Now, it's like, and so were like, we're not going to support this movie without Frank and Peter. It's not going to work. Now they did get Peter eventually, but they couldn't get Frank because then there's like a scheduling issue that's happening, so that it just didn't really happen. At least not until later on, they were able to finally get him. Uh, they got him for Soundwave and like Shockwave in the first three movies, but they didn't get him to play Megatron until the fourth movie, which is the character that most people wanted him to play in the live action. So, but I think because of that, like there's a very very strong sort of a love and respect between Peter and the fans. Because because we wanted him back. We told Paramount, hey, bring him back, get our boy back. Get our prime back, the one we grew up with. That's who we want. Coming back. And he did, and ever since then he's been back. He's been doing other stuff. He did not just the movies, but he played Prime in the video games and in Transformers Prime, Robots in Disguise. The Devastation game. Obviously the tie-in movie games and stuff like that. He was all on like. He was everywhere, because of the live action, which is probably one of the best things the movies ever did was bring back Peter Cullen. Though that's mostly due to the fans because I think Michael Bay originally he wanted Leonard Nimoy, or not Leonard Nimoy, Liam Neeson to play. Leonard Nimoy's Optimus Prime. That'd be kind of fun. But no, they wanted Frank. But they originally wanted Liam Neeson for Prime, which actually wouldn't be too terrible, honestly speaking, because, well, if anyone could get as close to matching Peter Cullen's great voice, I guess it would be Liam Neeson. But no, it had to be Peter Cullen. It just had to be. But um, but yeah. So when it comes, but like yeah, and you'll see this in a lot in other interviews, like where you see him interacting with other fans, like yeah, he was just one of the like he's the kind of guy. I mentioned this on Yarnwich's stream earlier this morning. Kind of commented this in the chat, and and it still holds true. It's like Peter Cullen was the kind of guy who, when you expressed just how much you appreciated him, appreciate his work, um, appreciate what he did for the franchise and what he did as yeah, the characters he played, whether it be Transformers, whether it be Eeyore, whether it be whatever he played in, everyone, he met, he truly, he was the kind of person who genuinely appreciated it. Like it genuinely took it to heart. Just how many people loved him and what he did. And not many actors are like that. I think that not enough actors are like that, where it's like they express genuine like respect towards their fans in that way. That very intimate way. And it does kind of stem from a lot of ego, in Hollywood. There definitely is a lot of that. Now I don't want to also, but at the same time, I don't want to kind of blame them if they are a little bit rude on occasion, because I can understand that. Personally speaking, I could probably understand that because I probably wouldn't be near if I was a big celebrity. I probably wouldn't be nearly as patient as a lot of these other guys are because yeah, because because I think Christian Bale kind of put it best actually one time. It's like, don't meet your heroes because they can't always be heroes at all times. Like sometimes they just have a bad day. And we all have bad days where we're just not ourselves. Or not our best selves. So I try not to judge just by one experience. It might be bad or what have you, because you never know. You never know what someone's going through. But it's very, very telling and very, very meaningful when you have someone like Peter Cullen, just be as humble and respectful towards his fans as he has been over the years. Okay, I think I was doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that for a little light on his chest there. It does feel good to be drawing Transformers again, though. It's been a little while. And drawing in general, because I just haven't really been able to draw lately because of work. But I want to start making a habit, though, to bring back the drawstrings a bit more. It's been way, way too long. Just been working too much, I think. So I can almost turn this into the White Prime from the Hate Plague episode, where he had to cover himself in white, some sort of white substance in order to kind of protect himself from the plague that was kind of affecting the whole universe, which was the episodes where he came back finally. I don't know why we don't ever get those kinds of repaints though. It's one thing is like, it's like all these repaints they do and they never do like the Hate Plague from the Return of Optimus Prime 3-parter. But I do see a lot of people online though kind of throwing shade at Hasbro, Paramount, and then there's a lot of it's warranted. I'm not gonna lie, because I've thrown shade at them before, but I think on this day, I just think that some of it is a little too soon. I think that people need to be a bit more, have a bit more grace, have a bit more class. I like whatever feelings you have towards Hasbro and Paramount. For whatever reason, because a lot of people are be like, oh, some people might be like, oh, well, there's a lot of missed opportunities. There's, um, you know, things we wish they could have done with while we still had Peter Cullen around. Like a new Transformers Fall Cybertron game is one of them that I personally would have loved, because I really love those games. Or like because this is one of my big ones was like I kind of wish that we gotten the original cast to do the Transformers 1 movie. I think that would have really made that movie even better and would have made it a whole lot more money if they actually brought back the original cast just for one last big hurrah, because they still have some people still around like Corey Burton, Dan Gillistan, Paul Eiding, Michael Bell, Greg Berger, Frank, Peter, or at the time anyways, before he passed away. So I do kind of feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities, but I don't think I just don't think it's just not the time to really bitch and moan to Paramount and all that. I think today should just be about celebrating the actor and the characters he played, and I think there's also a lot of controversy surrounding the re-release of an '86 movie, because there's obviously going to be well, that movie's going to hit a whole lot harder now because of Peter's passing, because obviously that movie famously killed off Optimus Prime, and now Well, we gotta go back and relive that trauma now, don't we? So all over again because it's. But I'm still going. I still have my tickets. I missed the last screening, mostly because I don't think it came to Canada. At least my theaters, anyways. I can't remember if it ever actually came to my neck of the woods or not. The last time they had a re-release, so I was pretty. So I made sure I was going to have these tickets for sure, because I've never seen the '86 movie in theaters before. So this is going to be kind of a big thing for me. Although it's going to be a bit heavier now with what happened, but I still gotta go. It's my duty, I suppose. But there are a lot of people kind of saying, some of the work, some of the posters or whatever is kind of in poor taste. Like, I'm just like, okay, first of all, those posters were made before his passing, so there's no way, and you know, they could have known what was going to happen. You know, so I do think that some of the hate that they're getting is a little bit unfounded, but I can understand it because I think that everyone kind of grieves in their own way. I think, and but I really would hope, but I would really kind of urge people to be a bit more, um, try to have a bit more grace with it. As best you can. You know, your criticisms are valid, but lashing out and you know turning his passing into a reason to lash out at a corporation. No, let's try to celebrate the man's life, um, first and foremost, and then we can kind of talk about the things we wish could have happened. I think that's more important right now. Okay, that's good enough for now. Let's do the blues. So we'll start. We'll make the blues the darkest gray. Just kind of make it stand out. And I think we'll do a warm. I think we'll do a cool gray 3 for the reds. Um, as our main base color. Okay. So let's do. I'll save these areas. I normally go all black with them. I usually like to do my blacks last when I do my colors. This helps prevent them from smudging. This can happen sometimes. Not careful. Let's go this way. Okay. Always get your shadows first. And go up here. Kind of just wing it with shadows, honestly, and just kind of do whatever looks the best. Whatever looks cool. Yeah. Trying to overthink it too much. Um, but I can definitely see this becoming a regular thing now. Yeah, I'm totally down for it. Yeah, every August we'll do maybe an Optimus Prime piece, kind of a remember Peter. Yeah, or any other character. Obviously, I kind of mentioned it before, but we can do like an Iron Hydra, or we'll do a different version of Optimus Prime, like we do something maybe from Transformers Prime, the video game, maybe the movie. Not really a big fan of the movie design, but yeah, I kind of feel like I need to draw it. I would need to draw it if I was going to honor him at some point. Yeah. but at least in that way. Yeah, just kind of focus on. Because it is very, very pivotal sort of a version of the character, mostly because of how he came back. It kind of represents him coming back to the franchise, and we're better for it. So, but I guess what this kind of means, a lot of people are kind of speculating what this means for the franchise. Some people probably are assuming there might be some sort of AI replacement. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. Because I researched this a little bit before I streamed. I researched it yesterday. So I was kind of wondering because they had the AI for the Prime toy, I think, the RoboSen, and so I was just like, oh, what would they be? Is there a possibility that they could be using AI to, uh, you know, do Prime's voice in future films and stuff like that? And what I found was that they only have the right to use his voice in merchandising stuff. So like toys, um, you know, and stuff like that, like games maybe, but not like video games, but like just like I don't know, I guess board games with sound or something like, or just like stuff like that, like merchandising stuff, not really like big like video games or movies or TV shows. Like that's not going to happen. I think there's a contract that's kind of preventing them from doing that. So, um, which is good. I don't want them to use AI at all. Personally, I want them to do what they did the last time Peter Cullen left. Because for those who don't know, he's been gone for he left the franchise for like 10, 15 years before he was brought back. So um, I think it's better to just get actors to come, just get new actors. Like let new people take a stab at it. I think the most likely is going to be Chris Hemsworth, just because of the new movie that came out. I'm guessing he's going to do it. A, because he's young, also because he's younger, and B, because there's a lot of positive energy surrounding his performance. I actually don't mind that actually. I actually thought he did a pretty good job doing Prime in that film, so I wouldn't be too opposed to that. But I also think that it'd be better. But I personally would like to see Neil Kaplan, the guy who plays him in Robots in Skies, the old show. I think that would be really cool. Give him a second chance, because he only played him for like one series. So I thought he did a very good job. Like, and he's also a lot younger. Like he's or not younger, but he's like 50 in his 50s. But I could definitely see him playing it. I don't think Gary Chalk's gonna do it. But I haven't really seen much. I'm not too sure if he's still voice acting or not. I know that Neil Kaplan is, but I'm not too sure about Gary. Because he had that health scare as well. He just fought and beat the crap out of cancer. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be back to voice acting. I'm not too sure. I'll have to look into that a bit more and see if he's still active. But but yeah, I would say, but yeah, if he is back to men's, he is back to voice acting. Then by all means, let him kind of take over if he wants to. But I don't know. It's going to be really tricky, really tough seeing other people voice the character. I think a lot of people are going to be a lot more hesitant now because that's a big shoe to kind of fill now. But yeah. But to me, the most important thing is just keep telling more stories. Keep telling more stories about Optimus Prime. Keep that character alive. Even if because obviously no one's ever going to be as good as pure as Peter Cullen was as Optimus Prime. There's never going to be anyone like him. Um, and I don't want them to be. I want every actor to play him differently who comes around. I want them to bring their own flair to the character. I want them to bring their own sort of identity to him, or their own sort of style to him. Yeah. Like not just try to be an emulation of Peter Cullen. I think that's also the wrong approach. All right, I'm in C5. Okay. And do C4. Not explosives, but I'll save C4 and C3 for my reds. How about that? Just bring a C1 to kind of tie everything up. Just blend the two grays together. Yeah. I'm not quite sure this is my favorite Optimus Prime piece I did. Like I said, I haven't been drawing a whole lot lately because of work, but and I'm lazy. So just it's hard to get back into the groove. But it's one thing I kind of want to get more into. I also want to get a proper art portfolio set up. I'll try to do that in September or it's December when I have more time for it. I've kind of been putting it off for a while now. I just been focused on a lot of different things, but I think it's time to really get my artwork out there. Or just start selling a lot of my art. So I have a whole bunch of art that needs to be sold. I just want to. My main problem right now is just trying to protect it from AI. That's kind of my reason why I haven't really done a whole lot with it. But I want to protect my art from AI. So I need to find a place I can sell it, but also find a way to save my art digitally, or in a way that prevents it from being stolen by AI and all that. So, um, I just refilled you. Being a butt. But I'm almost thinking about going to one of those print and scan shops or whatever. Maybe see if I can just have them transfer my or scan my artwork onto like a flash drive or something like that. Maybe something like that in town. I hope. All right, let's grab my C4. Hope there's ink inside. Yeah, there is. We'll do C5. Just need a little bit darker. Checking something real quick. Okay. I do kind of want to talk about this though. I see this a lot on YouTube. I kind of want to just like kind of point this out for people who might be falling for the traps, but um, there aren't a lot of people who are trying to make profit off of Peter's passing. I kind of saw this where somebody made like a fake story of Peter Cullen and his wife, and but it's not, that was not his wife. Like there was like a story. I remember there's one AI video where it was like, Peter Cullen, he his wife passed away in 1988 or something, 1998 or something like that, and you know he's been unmarried ever since. That's not the case at all. He's been married to Brandy Cullen, and they even got their name wrong. They called her Sally Cullen or whatever in the AI video, but no, his wife is Brandy Cullen. She's, I think she's still alive, very much. So like, no, she's very much alive. Like that. That's not a thing that's happened. Um, so, but I really hate those kinds of people who just like or trying to make a profit off of telling a fake story. Um, saying all this like bullshit. It's like if you're gonna tell stories about Peter Cullen, make it like if you want to tell that kind of if you want to, it's like just tell the actual story. Why are you getting things wrong? For it's like these people. Like so, don't fall for those traps. Like if you're scrolling through YouTube or whatever, it's all just them trying to make a profit off of Peter's passing. I'm just not about that at all. It's just like get out of here. It's like, and then it's just them trying to get views and stuff like that, trying to get sympathy views, um, and trying to profit off of everyone else's grief. But no, his wife is still very much alive. I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, don't fall for those like scumbags you see on the internet. Like, it's probably they're probably all over TikTok as well. Which if you're on TikTok, like what are you doing there? First of all, it's like nothing else better to do. I almost want to throw color on this. I could still very much color this piece, honestly, but kind of like the gray tones here. Just got to tidy up these ones a bit more. Just want to kind of identify which ones are going to be red and from blue, so they stand out. Not sure I'll be doing a background for this one. We'll see. I think just the white is enough. Just keep it simple. I originally wanted to do a more involved piece, like maybe like a big collage of Peter Cullen and all the versions of Optimus Prime that he played. But I just didn't have time to really map that out, and also I just was in a really bad mind space because it did screw with me a bit when Peter passed on. So just was not in the headspace, and like I said, a little bit antsy with my art lately, being a bit of a prima donna. So I was just like, let's just do something simple. I want this to be more of a discussion stream, more so about Peter Cullen, his life, what he left behind, that sort of thing, more so than just making the biggest, best drawing I could possibly. Because we can probably do that another time. There's always gonna be no time for that. Just do the best. I'm just doing the best I can right now. So, and that's the most important thing. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Just gonna grab again, just for shadows. cover up this one as much as possible because I got screwed up with the line work. Like I said, it's been a while since I've drawn some Transformers, so. That's my excuse. Let's cover that up. Fix it. Squeaky. Wouldn't be a drawstring if my markers weren't squeaking. 417. But yeah, it was my birthday a couple days ago. So what sucks about it though was I was actually already having a bad day at work because I had to work in the morning. It was an easy shift, but it was also kind of just a pain in the ass. But yeah, right after that job, when I was on my way home, is when I found out the news about Peter. And I just like man, this day just sucks. It's the worst birthday ever. I'll just say that. Yeah. So I ended up just kind of a napping, morning, doing what I gotta do to, be normal for everyone else. It's kind of like what we gotta do as guys. Yeah. But I eventually went to the mall, which also pissed me off because it was like so busy. But at least I was able to I was able to just kind of drown out the bad thoughts, sad thoughts for a while. But the sound tree, the Lego Soundwave set, a little bit pricey, but just felt like I needed something to take the edge off, I suppose. And it's a pretty cool set. It's pretty cool. And she has sounds and all that too. Jesus. So yeah, I just went out for dinner with some family, and I'll probably be going again tomorrow because I have other family members that I have to spend the day with. So, but yeah, I'm doing all right though. I'm still here. So I just want to get warm gray, just a little bit of light here. Let's do a 5. And I'll go over all that with 3, the C3. Just want to add a little bit extra depth to the grays here. Hey, Fall Dave. Good to see you. Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. Just doing kind of a gray tone Optimus Prime for this one. I felt like it's kind of appropriate for this kind of stream. I just want to do some like shadow work on his face before I move on to the blacks. Originally, I kind of wanted to do like a big sort of collage piece. Just didn't really have the time to work that out. It takes me a long time to do like big group shots. So I just went for something a bit more simple. Just simple. Yeah, sometimes it's just better to go that way. I'll probably do a collage piece at some point though. Like it's all the different like designs of Optimus Prime that Peter Cullen played. You know? Go back in a few. Oh, yeah, no problem, dude. I'll be here for a little bit, so do what you gotta do. Just trying to get more of a almost a chrome sort of look, I suppose, but I'm not going to be doing the blue stuff because I usually will add like a very, very light blue. But because we're going for more of a black and white sort of thing here, we're just going to keep it this way. We'll do without it this one. Definitely reminds me of the Sleep Mode Prime which is a figure that a lot of people get for whenever they want to do Optimus Prime death scene from the '86 movie. Which that scene's going to hit a whole lot harder now when the re-release happens, because now it's for real. Yeah. I'm guessing there's going to be a big sort of like, you know, memorial sort of thing for Prime for Peter Cullen at the end of the movie or beginning of the movie. Apparently, there's going to be an extra scene that they been working on for the film, which or end credits scene rather, which is kind of interesting. Not quite sure what that entails necessarily. There's definitely not going to be a sequel for it, so I'm going to assume it's something to do with Prime. I think it's going to be about Prime joining like the Matrix or whatever. Um, from his point of view, maybe I don't know. Hey, Deadman, good to see you. Good to see you, Robbie. Holy shit, Robbie, I missed you, man. Just heard Dolan's to us both. My optics. Oh, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Um, I kind of had to take the news on my birthday, but other than that, I'm doing all right. But it's great to see you, man. It's been a um, long time since I've seen you. Mostly because I haven't been doing a whole lot of draw streams as much lately. You know, just haven't really had the time for it as much. Because it's a lot more easier for me to do the Jurassic Park streams because it's just easier to stream. Um, Gotta get better. I also just need to get a better setup, honestly, for my draw streams. Cause it's a little bit awkward right now for me. Just haven't really got a proper place to put my laptop. But yeah, it's good to see you guys, man. Looks like it'll take longer than I'd hoped from extra cheese. Yeah, just don't cut the cheese, Dave. All right, but but I'm doing all right. You know, it is kind of one of those things where I was kind of not that I was expecting it now, but it was something that I was kind of weary of. You know, because there have been a couple like health scares that Peter Cullen kind of had, like last year, um, and same thing with Gary Chalk. Um, you know, so because he did cancel a few conventions and stuff, and you know, geez, so it's one of the really bad blurbs that makes oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, we are going for more of a black and white sort of style piece here for those just joining us. Just felt like it was most appropriate for this kind of stream. So, okay. I almost want to do some extra grays for the windows here in a minute. Let's do some. Grab number 2 and just tie that in there. I will say though, when it's kind of freaky though for me personally because I have weird ass dreams when I go to sleep. A lot of the dreams I have actually are of me going to work, like just pissing me off every time I wake up because it's like I just went to work in my dream. I have to go to work in real life. Those are the weird dreams I have, but I was having this one weird dream, like right before the news hit about Peter Cullen. Like it was about a day or so before, but it was something about me going to like a convention to meet him and not being able to. Like that was like what the dream was kind of about. Um, and it's really eerie. Like I don't know if I'm crazy or whatnot, but like I've had this before too. Like I've had like dreams where almost something similar happens in like the real world. Like you know, like I've almost like my dreams have almost like kind of predicted like a day at school, for instance. Like I remember that kind of like back in high school. It's weird, you know. They have some sort of superpower, but it's just like it's not that every single little event happens, but it's in my dream. But it's just like similar stuff, you know, and or similar sort of vibes. And I was just like, I had this like weird dream. I was like, I think I was like in line for a convention to meet Peter Cullen, but it's like I was like pulled away from it or something. I was just like, what's going on? It's like, and then this news happens. It's like, what the hell is going on? You know, it's like freaking me out. It's like I have a giant force vision or something going on. Yeah, I don't know. I might just be crazy. It might just be me just being crazy, but it's just very likely, you know. But it is something I kind of think about a lot, though. It's like, what is going on? You know, it's like, do dreams really predict the future? You know, I'm just like, what is going on here? Or can they? Or I don't know. But it was kind of freaky for me personally. I was just like, what is going on? It's like really creaky foreshadowing. But yeah. All right. But yeah, what a great actor though. What a great you know because there's very few actors that I really want to meet in real life. Sometimes they get a lot of them can be very egotistical. They can be kind of rude to fans, but meeting Peter Cullen was like you know uh, you know like I was fortunate enough to meet him twice, him and Frank Welker twice. Um, you know, and they were both like just a class act. They were both very, very polite, very friendly, very approachable. Um, just all around, just like really good guys, like to kind of meet. Like, you know, yeah, it's like I don't think you'll ever hear like anyone like complain like about like a bad experience they might have had with um, you know, Frank or Peter. Like they're always just so engaged with fans. Like so, they were always you know very appreciative, very thankful, very respectful. Um, you know, I think a lot of it has to, and I think a lot of the love for Peter Cullen personally comes down to the live action movies actually, believe it or not. I think because I have my misgivings about those movies obviously, but at the end of the day they were what brought back Peter Cullen, or more specifically the fans did, because because back then Peter Cullen had been absent from the Transformers franchise for the longest time, for a good decade or so, like because after 87, 88, when the cartoon ended, um, that was it. Like, obviously they had people like, Gary Chalk play him and Neil Kaplan play him in Robots in Skies and the Beast Wars stuff and the Unicron trilogy. But after that, it was just but there was no Peter Cullen. Like Peter Cullen hadn't been Optimus Prime for the longest time until um, they brought him back for the live action stuff. Now, originally, now I say that it's because of the fans, because originally Michael Bay wanted Liam Neeson to play Optimus Prime, and he even based off some of the live action models off of Liam Neeson's like movements and stuff like that. But because the fans kind of said, "Hey," went on message boards because obviously the internet was a big thing, was just booming at this point, um, and so everyone was saying, "No, you got to get Peter Cullen. You got to get Peter Cullen, or this movie's not going to work." Um, and eventually Hasbro and Frank Welker. Now, also they said Frank Welker to play Megatron, but obviously that didn't happen. I think there was like a scheduling issue between Frank Welker and Michael Bay, so didn't really happen. So at least not until the fourth movie where they finally let him play Megatron. He did play. I think he played Soundwave and Shockwave, and maybe Frenzy, but I'm not too sure if he played But he didn't play Megatron until the last two Michael Bay films. But yeah, but and obviously I have my misgivings on the live action movies, obviously. Yeah. But the one thing you'll never hear me complain about is Peter Cullen's performance in those movies. Like, even if I don't really agree with a lot of the ideas they had for the character, the way they treated him, Peter Cullen always delivered. It didn't matter what script he gave him. And you know, thanks, Grumpy. Yeah, I would hope so. I would hope so. Yeah, yeah. I'm going for all like kind of gray tones here. Um, just kind of make it a more moodier piece, I suppose. But yeah, originally I wanted to have like a whole like collage of all the primes, like different primes he played, but just didn't really have the time to really get that going for this weekend. It was also just so sudden. But maybe next time we'll do that. I think what I think we'll do this. I think every August, because I think we'll do a special Peter Cullen live stream every August. Um, you know, we'll do like a Peter Cullen character. We'll do most likely going to be Optimus Prime, but we could always do like an Ironhide. We could always do another character he might have played over the years. I think we'll do that from now on. We'll do kind of like a celebratory stream every August. So yeah, yeah, maybe about what he was given to deliver. Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously Peter. Honestly, all the voice actors honestly did pretty good in those movies. Honestly speaking, I mean, it's like you had Leonard Nimoy come back for obviously he played Sentinel Prime, but he didn't. But it was always. But it's always good to hear Leonard Nimoy. He's a great actor. It's always great to hear him. Um, even though they didn't get everyone back from G1, they still had some pretty good actors playing like Ironhide, Bumblebee. It doesn't make sense that they didn't get Peter Cullen to play Ironhide. He's like, it's his character. It's like, why isn't he playing Ironhide? But yeah, I don't want to turn this whole stream into a bashing of the Michael Bay films. I don't think it's appropriate, personally, but I think it's more important just to kind of sell on this stream in particular. I think it's more important just to celebrate the actor and his performances and what he kind of meant to the community and the franchise at large. He's the only Prime Peter voice that I can't deal with. Hey, how he looks and that he's an American truck. You know me. Yeah. We know. I know you, bro. I know you. We've had these conversations a million times. But yeah. Yeah, everyone, but that's one of the things that I think that always I can always kind of point to is that everyone kind of did a pretty good job voice acting wise for those movies. It's just kind of just the script's not all that great, but we shouldn't let's just celebrate Peter. Yeah. So for those who don't know, yeah, Grumpy kind of mentioned this, but the voice for Optimus Prime was inspired by Peter Cullen's brother, Larry Cullen, who was a Marine. Um, and it was in his voice, in his tone, that where the inspiration for Optimus Prime's voice came from. Um, when he first recorded for the role in G1, he and I'm so glad he did that, because it's like, he could have easily just been another tough guy hero type, another GI Joe type or whatever, like just with a big strong voice, but he has that obviously, but he approached it differently. He approached it from the sense of you know like he, as he put it, be strong enough to be gentle, have a gentleness, have a sense of compassion, have a sense of dignity, have a sense of respect, and all these things, like. And I'm so glad he went that route with the character, not to be different, because it's like, is because obviously at the time there's a lot of like action heroes, which they're great. Obviously, it's great to have those kinds of heroes too. Don't get me wrong, like the Stallones, the Schwarzeneggers, but it's also very, very important to have those quieter heroes, the ones who are you know compassionate, who show humanity, and integrity, and carry themselves like that. And that's something that Peter Cullen, without him, I don't think Peter Cullen would really be, or Optimus Prime as a character wouldn't be as iconic, as important for a lot of people, if it wasn't for him voicing him, at least setting the stage for him, at least, for future actors to kind of come along, Let's see. Gotta separate this crust here. We all quite glad. Just hearing Peter, let's see, Larry the Jarhead, Peter said he sounded like a hero, and Larry agreed. Yeah. Just hearing Peter talk, yeah, how he came up with the voice, the way he describes Hunches is just awesome. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I wish there was more people like him, more actors like him, to be honest, like who truly understand what it means to actually play a hero and be a hero. Okay, let's black out the little antenna here. I'm yelling, it's Superman, Cap, Optimus Prime. That's it. I'll be honest, I don't want them killing Prime off, but I don't want to hear anyone else voice him. Yeah, I mean, I can understand why some people feel that way. I don't. I'm actually a little bit. See, for me, I think it's more important. See, I look. I've kind of come to terms with the fact that no one's ever gonna replicate what Peter Cullen did. Um, but at the same time, I don't think that anyone. It's. But at the same time, if we don't have new actors playing them, then the character will he just won't be around as much anymore. And so I think that um, I think what will happen is that it'll just go the same way it went when he left G1, is that they'll get just new actors to play him, which I'm actually all okay with, like because I'm at peace with the fact that they're not going to be able to replicate Prime Peter Cullen's voice. But as long as they get this, for me, it's more about the spirit of the character itself. That's most important to get right. Um, you know, like maybe get close enough to Peter Cullen's voice, but I want them to all to be different as well. Like I want them to kind of bring their something different to the role as well as staying true to what makes that character special. Um, because because only like to me their only job really is just to keep that character alive for as long as they can, because you know, and I think that Peter Cullen would agree personally. I think that he would want more actors to kind of play him. I think he'd want this character to live on, um, without him, and so. Um, Peter took the time to know what the character he was going to voice was actually like, and a lot of VA folk don't do that. Yeah, that's true, and that's very true for a lot of younger folks, actors as well. Like that was my main problem with the Netflix Prime, was that he tried too hard to be Peter Cullen, right? He just it just felt forced. It just didn't really feel like a genuine person behind that. Like, and that's the key with Prime. It's not like look when it comes to doing the voice for Optimus Prime, it's not about getting the deepness, not about just getting the exact same sort of sound. It's about portraying yourself in a way that's genuine, that's honest, and with a sense of integrity and all that. Like that's the most important thing about playing out this Prime as a character. That to me is the most important part. If you can't get it's like because that's one of the things I really loved about David Kay when he played Optimus Prime in Transformers Animated, because obviously he's a younger version of the character, you know, a little bit different sort of take, but he didn't try to be Peter Cullen. He tried to just be what the character is. He's a and I think he did that really well in that show, in that reimagining of G1, that what that show kind of was. Um, and same thing with like Gary Chalk, even Neil Kaplan, was great in Robots in Disguise. I didn't really like Robots in Disguise; it was kind of goofy, but Neil Kaplan actually did a pretty good job playing Optimus Prime. He actually did a pretty good job of playing the character. Um, the African American. Okay, you probably, but it doesn't have to be 1-to-1, but go in the direction of Peter Legan. Yeah, yeah. Actually, I actually like Chris Hemsworth as Optimus Prime. I actually think that he did a pretty good job. I think that's probably the direction they could go with for the movies. Anyways, they're probably gonna be using Chris Hemsworth now. He's a big name celebrity. He's younger, so I think that he's probably gonna be Prime for a bit. And because the MCU, I hear there's a rumor that he might be getting killed off as Thor in the MCU in Doomsday. Um, so yeah, I mean, if he's gonna, so if he's no longer be Thor, then yeah, might as well be Optimus Prime. So not too sure if that's true or not. Just a rumor I've heard, but yeah, actually, I liked him as Optimus Prime. He was okay. Like he played a younger Prime, but I think it worked, and I think that he has the chops for it. Like he actually surprised me. I didn't think he was going to be great because I thought he was just going to sound. I just didn't think he was going to be as good, but actually, he actually surprised me. He was actually pretty good. Because he actually did have a really good sense of like just portraying like that goodness in Prime, like that's just humble like side to him. Like Like that's the one thing they really got right with the Transformers One. Actually, is just getting Prime's character right. Um, I feel like they did. I just didn't like the way they did Megatron. That was my main problem with the movie. I have a lot of like issues with that film. I guess I could talk about it a little bit. Um, so I've had a few ideas of what I would have done differently. Um, just grab some drinks before I do that. I mean, it was okay, or it was quite true as I yelled repeatedly about Black Panther. Not no actor is bigger than their role, which Chadwick also said, and Peter would agree. Indeed, yeah, yeah. That was stupid that they didn't. That they just killed off Black Panther off screen. I was just like, what? Really? It's like get another actor to play him. But apparently he is getting recasted in it. The lead one as Ariel, Megatron got screwed in TF1. Yeah, yeah. So okay, so my idea for Transformers One, what I would have done differently is I would have had so the four main characters. I would have actually changed that around significantly. I would have had Orion Pax. I would have Ironhide. I'd have Alita One slash Ariel, and I would have Dion instead of Megatron. And and what I would do is I also would change up sort of the dynamics of that film. I would have, and I'll explain what I want to do, what I would do with Megatron in just a minute. But for the main four characters, that would be my main four. I wouldn't put Bumblebee there. Like like to me, Bumblebee's more of the the new generation of Autobots. You know what I mean? He's supposed to be the younger Autobot, sort of scout. Um, he shouldn't like it should be Ironhide and like Ultra and like Elita One as his like first like you know friends that he knew like as he was like starting up the Autobots and all that. Like that to me is how it should go, personally. Um, but what I would do for the personality swaps is I would keep Orion Pax the same. I like them making Orion Pax a bit more more rebellious in his younger years. That's kind of like indicative of his original Ryan Pack self in the cartoon. He had a bit more of a attitude, a bit more of a of a rebellious streak in that. But in the film, in terms of personality, I would have Dion. I'd have Dion. He'd probably have the same sort of personality that Megatron had in the film. So he'd be kind of like the more uh, restrained, more fearful one, like of the two. Um, And then for Alita and Ironhide, I would actually swap the personalities. Actually, I would actually make Alita one because she would be Bumble. I would give her the Bumblebee role where she had the more comedic role. Like I actually would do that because that'd be more. I think it'd be more fun to kind of have a more lighthearted Alita one. In her youth. Kind of like a more goofier Alita one, or not goofier, but like a younger, um, sort of you know more happy go lucky sort of character, more so than the more hard ass character that she was in the movie. Um, oh, shit. Sorry about that, guys. Had to mute myself for a minute. X was more Raphael than Leonardo for sure. Yeah. But yeah, so I would have with the Lita One's character in the movie, I would have made her a bit more lighthearted, and I would give the hard ass role to Ironhide, and that would be kind of a nice way to kind of develop that friendship between Optimus Prime and Ironhide. I think in the movie, just thought that would be a better option. Okay. Trying to figure out what colors I want to use here. Okay, well, yeah, cool. Really, should have swapped the personalities, but now girl power. But yeah, I don't know how it is. Yeah, really hate that about way they portray Lita One nowadays. They just make her a bitch. They don't make her. Uh, always make her angry for some reason. She was not like that in the old cartoon. I'll just put it that way. But yeah, it's more as she doesn't hard ass till after the war. Yeah, exactly. Like that makes more sense to me. And yeah, I think it'd be kind of fun to have her be a bit more of a lighthearted character. More because in that film, Bumblebee was kind of he was goofy, and maybe you could even give her like a really tragic story as to how she ended up like that. Like maybe she lost her memories or something like that, and so she just kind of has this more goofier sort of personality, more naive. You know, like maybe she was like her mind was like maybe she almost like figured out Sentinel's like corruption and all that, and and that sort of led her to being like mind wiped or something. Like you could have done something with that character to make her more interesting, other than just make her an asshole to everybody around her. But I think that also giving Ironhide that more hard ass role makes more sense because he's always kind of been that hard ass anyways, and so you could really see them kind of, and it'd be really kind of cool to see how they kind of started like have Peter have Optimus and Ironhide kind of butting heads a little bit in the film, and then eventually they start to warm up to each other. You know, I thought that would have been a better option route to go in the film. And then what I would do for Megatron in the film is I would give him the Starscream role that Starscream had in that film, where he was kind of like in the surface of Cybertron. I'd actually give that role to Megatron and have him be the one that's been out there kind of doing stuff. And I'd actually have him kind of team up with Orion Pax, and like when they meet him, like these guys could like maybe have him actually be like I would have Megatron already kind of established a little bit. He's already got this army. He's kind of built behind the scenes. Um, and maybe have him like be almost like this boogeyman on Iacon. Nobody really knows who he is, or maybe he's kind of like the Voldemort thing, where he's kind of spoken in whispers. Nobody really knows, like, it's the boogeyman. Like Megatron's like there's like this big warlord out there, and that's why they can't go to the surface world or whatever of Cybertron. But I would have it be kind of like in G1, like have Orion befriend Megatron. They kind of start out as friends. They start out kind of on the same side. Like maybe Megatron tricks him. Into showing him the location, showing him to the, you know, the entrance into Iacon. That would be Megatron. That'd just be Megatron kind of sort of tricking Orion in order to give himself access to Icon, and then he can go and get his revenge on Sentinel Prime or whatever the story might be. And then he obviously would betray Orion Pax. I'd have him be the one that kills Dion, like in the cartoon. And I feel like that would be a much more interesting story. It would be make Megatron even more of a menace as a villain. Like, so I'm sick and tired of the route that a lot of stories take now, where they try to make him sympathetic. He's supposed to be an asshole. It's like Megatron's an asshole. Like, make him an asshole. It's like, I don't need this purse puppy bullshit with Megatron, where he's like, oh, but he's just misunderstood. Oh, he's just a victim of the system. Blah blah blah. Like, no, he's an asshole. It's like, like that would make more sense to me. Just have him be already a little bit established. He's maybe, I don't know, like, that way you don't have the, and it's because they didn't really, because I just like the original story of Megatron where he's a gladiator. Like, I don't like the origin story they gave him where he's just like a regular old bot. It's like, no, he's supposed to be a bit more, and he's like younger than everybody else. Like, he's younger than like Starscream. Like, that doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, this is like, he's Megatron. He's supposed to be like the oldest of the old. He's like, you never, in the original cartoon, you never really knew where he came from, at least in the first two seasons. And that was kind of like I don't know, I kind of like that a bit more, like, where you never really knew where he came from. He just was. But you could tell that just by his voice that he was aged, that he had, history, he had experience that nobody else had. And he was hungry for power and all that. Like, being who and how she is, she would have found out. In G1, she was shown to be more bubbly as yeah, exactly. That's why I kind of would give her the Bumblebee role, either one, because yeah, she was a bit more lighthearted as Ariel in the cartoon anyway, so it makes sense. And you know, in the old cartoon, he was best friends with Dion. They could have made a D16 Megatron in that film Dion instead, but obviously they're going the more recent route with the characters, where it's like they were friends or kind of this brotherhood bond. Um, but which, I mean, it can work. That can work. Like, I think that the Aligned continuity did that story best. Like the Transformers Prime stuff and all that did that kind of story for Megatron and Prime pretty well. Um, but they did it in a way where they didn't make Megatron like a victim, or or made him like sympathetic in any way. And that was the key. Like, you can't make Megatron sympathetic, like, in that way, anyways. Because he's supposed to be a truly elemental villain. He's supposed to be someone who's just evil. And I don't think that they really did that in the new movie, because now he's just a victim of the system. He's just a victim of Sentinel Prime. It's just like, no, everyone was a victim of Sentinel Prime in that movie. Like, that's the problem. Is like everybody was a victim of it. Everyone was a victim of the lies that Sentinel Prime uh, per- perpetuated in the film. That was the whole key behind it. Just like, it's like, well, just didn't really work for me personally. Deal with the "we were friends when we were young" thing with others and Megatron. Yeah, 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 and I hate that. I hate that that's the direction a lot of, like, and it's just an in general type of thing, though. Because they try, because there's so many, like, how many villain origin story movies have there been? There's been Maleficent, there's been Cruella, there's been the Venom movies. Which, I mean, there's obviously an argument to do Venom movies, like, because he has like anti-hero tendencies in the comics and all that, um, but he's usually primarily should be a villain, like Venom and stuff. At least in his very first story, like with Spider-Man, like Like maybe you can develop him more like after that, but primarily he's supposed to be a villain, you know. And obviously the Joker movie, which is very famous, which I never liked honestly personally. Like everyone just loves that movie for some reason. It's like why? It's not that special. Like it's not that great of a movie. Like I thought it was boring personally. A lot, yes, they symbolize Venom in those stupid movies. Yeah, they just got the character wrong too. It's like he's supposed to be connected to Spider-Man. Um, you know, and that's the whole reason why he has the powers that he has as Venom is because he drained them from Spider-Man, basically, for lack of a better term. But but yeah. Let's see. I can see that working better. Megatron being in the Starscream position, waiting in the wings to take action. Palpatine, like yeah, exactly. That's kind of like the idea I had in my mind for like what they could do for Megatron in the this movie in Transformers One. Like I think that would have been a much more interesting route for the character, especially and make him it would make him an actual threat, because like you know an inexperienced threat is not as threatening as an experienced threat. Like when you're up against someone that's just has all this experience, like you can just tell has a lot of experience behind them. It's like that makes them even more terrifying. But because they made Megatron a young guy, it's like, well, he's just gonna get beat up. It's the Kylo Ren thing, really. They kind of just made him Kylo Ren in that movie. That's what it kind of seems like to me, personally. And that's the character also who kind of helped make this sort of feel sorry for the villain stuff is Kylo fucking Ren. It's just like it's like well, there's like definitely room for sympathetic villains, right? You know, but you don't sympathize with their actions. You don't justify their actions. You sympathize with the you can sympathize with the things that led them to make those actions, those decisions, but you shouldn't sympathize with them in the sense that you agree with their choices, as a villain, the whether it be killing, whether it be stealing, whatever the villain's doing, it's like that should never be justified. It's you can relate to their struggles maybe, but you can't like with Mr. Freeze is a great example of that. Like you don't sympathize with Mr. Freeze by killing a bunch of innocent people. Maybe you can maybe you can see justification in him killing or attacking Ferris Boyle, the guy who screwed him over. And maybe there is an argument for that, but it's just like you don't sympathize with him, you know, doing the other stuff. That's the whole thing with the character. I understand what the writer was trying to do, but I don't think he quite pulled it off, or more people would have enjoyed it. Yeah, yeah. Hollywood is the evilest group of people. They can only relate to evil. Yeah, exactly. Always room for sympathetic villains, but villains who are straight evil should never be turned sympathetic. Exactly, exactly. So you should never turn like Palpatine, the Joker, Megatron. Like these guys should never be sympathetic. Like there's two archetypes of villains. There's the fallen villain, and there's the elemental villain. The elemental villain is always evil. Like he's just always evil. There's no good in him whatsoever. And then there's the fallen villain where there could be something good between them. Like the best example of this kind of sort of dichotomy is like just Palpatine and Darth Vader. Darth Vader obviously he's an evil dude, but you because of the movies they kind of explain you understand that he used to be a hero. He used to be Anakin Skywalker. He used to be a hero, and so he's the fallen villain. He's someone who used to be good, but then he turned bad. And because of that, there is room for him to, and that's why the whole redemption arc does work for Vader because he had that moment of goodness in him, which we saw in the prequels. and so that's why his redemption in Return of the Jedi works. Versus you know versus it wouldn't work for like a Palpatine. You couldn't do a redemption arc for Palpatine at all because like he's not supposed to have that kind of a story. Like because he's the real evil. You're not. Well, Vader's evil. He is part of the evil, but he's not the big evil of the Star Wars universe. That was always Palpatine. Yeah, and Disney apparently nowadays. So 100 million%. Oh, yeah. But yeah. Okay. Disney will. Yep, exactly. Disney, Kennedy. Actually, I think that Dave Filoni is the worst though at Disney. To be honest, I think Dave Filoni is the worst offender when it comes to the handling of Star Wars. Um, and I'll explain why. Because the reason why he's the worst is because he has a lot of knowledge, right? I'm not going to deny he probably knows a good bit about the lore, but he knew enough, but he chose to change everything anyways. Because that's one thing. Like I hate when people defend Clone Wars, like saying, "Oh, it saved Star Wars. It saved the prequels." It's like the prequels never need saving. All right, let's just get rid of that whole nonsense. It's like, look, the prequels they're the prequels. They're what they were. But they never needed saving. They never needed someone to come in and fix like Anakin Skywalker, fix anything in order to make the prequels the better story. Like, no, the story was great. The story of the prequels was fantastic. It was well written. It's just the writing and some of the acting on occasion here and there that was lacking. That was where the main issue with the prequels kind of lied. At least for me, anyways. Um, but like, no, you didn't need. And also, that was a big problem with the way they portrayed Anakin in the show because like like people talk about how they developed Anakin so well in the Clone Wars. It's like no, they did. There was no development whatsoever. Like what they did was they took the criticism that people had of Anakin in the Attack of the Clones and said, okay, you don't like that Anakin was whiny and complaining a lot. Okay, well we're just gonna make Anakin not complaining anymore. Like it's like that's not a character development. It's not a character arc, and it's like he goes from being like it's like, and not just that. Clone Wars 2008 takes place like a month or so after Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones is where Anakin's at his most, you know, rebellious in that trilogy. Like he's like just full of angst and all this stuff. Like it's like why would you make him a Jedi Knight? Why would you give him a Padawan? Right after all that stuff that he went through. It's just like see in the original story, in the original expanded universe story, it was like a year, like a couple months before, like about 8 or 9 months before Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin was knighted, like when he became an actual Jedi Knight, like so he actually had to go through some development as a character in order to get to that point. And this is like what I hate about people who defend Dave Filoni's style. It's like no, he's he jumps ahead. He takes the shortcut of character development. He doesn't actually do the character developing. Because like that's the problem with like the same thing with Ahsoka. Like people didn't like Ahsoka. She was annoying. She was bratty. You know, and so he's like, okay, well, next season she's gonna be less bratty, less annoying. That's not a character development. That's not character development at all. Like that's saying, okay, well, fans don't like this, so I'm gonna write her this way instead. Like, that's not development at all. You didn't show any of her growth up until that point. You know, so it's just stupid stuff. I could rant about that all day long, but But no, like, and then obviously there's all obviously the changes that Dave Filoni made. He changed, like, he brought characters back from the dead, like like one of the Jedi's who died in Attack of the Clones died, and even though he was told that he couldn't bring him back, he still did it anyways. It's like, and it just shows how little Dave Filoni cared about the franchise and the story. Like, say what you want about George Lucas, but he tried. He at least cared enough about keeping continuity. Like, and that's why the whole story group existed back then, was to keep everything in line with, like, and all that. Just Davy Boy got, you know it's like way too much power for some reason, to where it's like, oh, whatever I want goes, and didn't earn it anyways. Like, it's just hate Dave Filoni, hate Dave Filoni. It's like, and his whole excuse is like, oh, I can't be written, I can't be put into a box as a writer. I need to have full control. It's like, then don't write Star Wars. Like, write a different science fiction story. You know, like, if you can't write Star Wars as Star Wars, then don't write it at all. Like, just get out of here. It's like, what are you doing here? It's like, and he just tried to make Star Wars his Star Wars. He didn't try to make it. Like, that's the difference between him and the expanding universe. The expanding universe complemented the original story. They existed to um, complement the story, like kind of fill in the gaps here and there, like explain certain things a bit better for the hardcore fans, obviously. You know, but they didn't try to change the story. That was the difference. Like, they didn't try to change, like, George's vision. They enhanced his vision. You know, like, for example, in the Revenge of the Sith novel, for instance, they actually made Anakin's freak out or at the council for not making him a Jedi Master make more sense, because in the novel they explained that Anakin wanted to become a Jedi Master, not because the reason why he was mad is, and the reason why he wanted to become a Master so bad, it was because um, he wanted access to, because in the lore there was certain files, certain uh, files that were restricted to just Jedi Masters, that only Jedi Masters could access in the in the records. And he wanted access to those records to find out more about, like, Darth. I think he wanted to find out more about Darth Plagueis, or about using the Force to bring people back from the dead or save people from death. Like, that was what, and that was the whole reason why he was. And they made that part of the reason why he was so angry that he didn't become a master, because that's what he was really after. Like, what he was really wanting out of becoming a master was to find, you know, the those secrets and all that, have access to those at all times. Like, that was the whole point behind it. So, like, just stuff like that they did to kind of enhance the original story. Versus Dave Filoni, who just wanted to make it about Ahsoka. He wanted to make it about his characters that he created for, like, Rebels and stuff like that. Um, yeah, yeah, it's just not good. Star Wars was supposed to be the 10 years of Clone Wars in between the movies. Yeah, that was the thing. That there's, like, so much shit that happens in the Clone Wars cartoon. Like, there's so many different big epic battles that happen. It's just like, how much? It's like, it's only supposed to be like 2 or 3 years in between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Like, that's how long the war lasts. It's just like, why? It's like, why is there so much stuff happening? I don't understand this. It's like, how can I buy that all this stuff happened in this short amount of time? You know, it's like, I heard his commentary about Ahsoka. Even George Lucas recognizes power of underage tale, but I can't prove it was him. Did he actually say that? Wow. If he did say that, fuck him. Like, that's just weird. It's like, Yeah, he should have as much to do with the Star Wars as Rian Johnson. Well, nothing. Honestly, I think that he did more damage than Ryan Johnson did, or it's just as equal as Ryan Johnson because Ryan Johnson ruined Luke Skywalker. Dave Filoni ruined the rest, everything else. Like it's like he ruined the lore. He ruined the lore of Star Wars, and Ryan Johnson ruined the heart of Star Wars, which is Luke Skywalker and Han and Leia and all them. So at least in the Disney canon. Obviously, I don't consider Disney canon anymore. I don't watch any of that stuff anymore. I just read the novels, original expanded universe novels, and that's my Star Wars. Maybe we should talk about more about that stuff. I've actually been really reading a lot of them recently. More so recently, actually, because I've started getting back into collecting Star Wars Lego, at least minifigures right now. I'm just not don't have the space for actual sets, but I've been going online and just buying some new figures. Quite quite an extensive Luke Skywalker collection now, just the past couple months. So, because obviously Luke's my favorite character, so I had to be done. But worse than Lucas was 10 years long, and yeah, Dave Filoni is just as bad for Star Wars as Johnson, 100%. But he was reported to have said that long ago. Oh shit, really? Yeah, and Ahsoka Tano just does not work as a character. You know, like giving Anakin an apprentice was just the stupidest thing ever. It's like there's absolutely no reason why the Jedi would give him an apprentice, especially at the very start of a war. You know, like a big fucking galactic war. Like you're gonna give the most like unhinged Jedi at the time, Anakin, who's like just going off killing Tusken Raiders. You're gonna give that guy who's impatient, who's got all these problems going on, all these and they know he's dangerous. They know this about him, and they're still like, yeah, I'm gonna give you responsibility over this Padawan. That could be a good lesson maybe later on, like as a knight, maybe when he's matured a bit more, but not now. Like now he needs a more he needed to grow a bit more on his own, yeah, before he took on someone else as a Padawan or something, you know. Like it would make more sense if Ahsoka was like Plo Koon's apprentice or somebody else's apprentice. Like that would make more sense, and then just have her have a uh, recurring friendship with Anakin, like on going on adventures. That's all I had to do for Ahsoka's character, and then just have her killed off in Order 66 like everybody else, and then she could have fit in the Legends timeline. That's how she should have gone. But the problem is like Dave Filoni couldn't let her go, so he kept her around longer than she should have. Now she's like alive past Rise of Skywalker. Like she's like the most important character ever. She's just amazing at everything. Honestly, I hate Ahsoka more than I hate Rey. To be honest, I think I hate Ahsoka way more than Rey. It's like at least Ahsoka has a likable personality because it's Daisy Ridley. She's a very likable person, even though she's horribly written, as a character. But it's like I'm more annoyed by Ahsoka than I am with Rey. I'll be honest. Like Rey's annoying. Ahsoka's way more annoying to me, though. I really do think because Rey actually could have worked as a character. They just didn't make her work. You know, that's a problem. I can believe it. But okay. Yeah, the worst. Ahsoka somebody should not exist in that. Yeah, exactly. She should have died, or at the very least killed off by Vader in the Rebels cartoon. The Rebels cartoon also doesn't make sense at all. Like, I'll explain that in just a minute. Um, like the because all those characters in Rebels should be dead. Like because of Kanan. Because the whole thing is okay. I'll explain it right real quick. When was the first time Luke found out Darth Vader's name was Anakin Skywalker, his father. When did he find out that was his father's name? That was in Return of the Jedi when Obi-Wan told him. So because of that, there shouldn't be anybody in the Rebel Alliance that knows who Anakin Skywalker is, because it's like they're not going to say anything. Like there's this guy, hey, Luke Skywalker. Who's this Skywalker guy? You related to Anakin? It's like, and so because of Rebels, there's characters like Hera, and Zeb and Sabine who live on after, and so and because of them existing, and because of Kanan and Ezra, they know who Anakin was. Like, because they show in one of the episodes, like, Ezra's using like an Anakin Skywalker training video or whatever to practice his lightsaber combat, and it's like, well, if it's like there's no reason to, and so because of that, there's no reason to assume that Kanan and Ezra didn't talk about Anakin to the rest of the crew. So it's just like, especially like someone like Rex, who knew him, who fought beside him in the Clone Wars, it's like, and he's apparently with them in the original trilogy as a rebel soldier. Like he didn't talk to Luke at all. Like, it's stupid shit. Like it's like why is he still alive? It's like, why are any of these characters, like all these characters should be dead. Like they shouldn't even exist. Like, it just does not make sense to me at all. It's just, I can't remember. Maybe there might have been now if there was, there might be an explanation in the expanded universe, the old expanded universe. Maybe there was a time where he learned Anakin's real name, but um, as far as we know, it was in the Return of the Jedi from Obi-Wan told him. So yeah, Rey has actually Rey is worse. Titularly, Rey actually has potential to be saved. Well, Ahsoka has been destroyed and used to further destroy. Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, there could be a way to salvage Rey's character by. I mean, obviously they have a shitty explanation for how powerful she was, in those movies for no reason. But look, I would take a ridiculously powerful character over a continuity breaking character more so. But obviously, I'm not going to watch any of the new Star Wars, so it doesn't really bother to me. Yeah, exactly. So, like, Obi-Wan was the first one to tell him Anakin Skywalker is your father, and the only one who could have known would have been Bail Organa, but he's dead. But he died in New Hope, so maybe Mon Mothma could have known. But that makes more sense that she would keep it, because maybe she's a military person, so she probably just doesn't know. Like, that's the only character that really could possibly. But but yeah, but yeah, but like when you have characters like that are really close to Anakin, like Rex was, and a Jedi, who knew him, so connected to the you uh, rebellion of Luke's time, it's just like it doesn't make sense. How did the stream turn from a Peter Cullen stream to a Star Wars rant stream? It's just the way we work here. Random bunch. But yeah, unknown, but with zero reason to tell anyone. Yeah, I mean, she might have known who Anakin was, but I don't know. I mean, there could be a reason why. Maybe her and Bail Organa, maybe they promised to keep it a secret. They could obviously be like kind of like that. There's also no reason for them to believe that Anakin was Darth Vader either. So you know, and also they're running a they're the higher she's the higher ups of the rebellion, so she probably just doesn't have time to have like personal conversations like that. You know, it's a war going on. You know, so that's more plausible than someone like Rex who's on the front lines with Luke or whatever. You know, possibly. You know, it's just like I really wanted Rosario to play Ahsoka in live action, but that was before Filoni's true purpose for Ahsoka was revealed. Yeah, exactly. These things happen on your streams, all this yakking. Yeah. But yeah, back to the expanding universe stuff though. Yeah, I've been reading quite a bit. I kind of started so I think when I first started getting the expanding universe, I read the Thrawn trilogy. I read the Dark Empire. I read, which was not that great, but better than the Rise of Skywalker for sure. So I'll just put it that way. Um, and then I read the Jedi Academy trilogy. And I started reading I Jedi. I just couldn't get into it. It just wasn't really. I think the reason why I stopped reading is because I didn't really know much about Corn Horn, and he was kind of the main character of that book. And so I kind of stopped reading it because I wanted to read. So I think that he got his introduction in the X-wing books, and so I want to read those before I get to I Jedi because I'm just weird like that. I kind of need to have the whole story kind of context, you know, of a character, you know, sometimes like, and so but yeah, but after that I kind of stopped reading for a bit because I was just like focused on other things. But more recently I started reading more stuff. I read the Thrawn duology. Oh, actually before that I actually read the comic book where Luke and Mara get married because I just want to see it happen because I love Luke and Mara's story. Like they had such a really great connection in the Thrawn trilogy. They had a really great storyline, you know. So I really need to see that. And so when I came back to reading the novels, I read the Thrawn duology, which admittedly was kind of boring. It was kind of a boring book. Like the best parts were definitely with Luke and Mara, though. Um, but I did kind of find some of the storytelling a little bit boring at times. The best parts were definitely Luke and Mara, but also actually I liked the story with Pelion because Pelion is a great character. Pelion was such a great character. So I loved all that stuff. But most of the books were just kind of it was just kind of a bunch of political stuff. You know, it was just there was just so many different like subplots that kind of just like I just kind of was having trouble of um, I was having trouble keeping up with because there's like so many different storylines. There was the story with Luke and Mara, then you had the story of Han and Leia doing stuff, and you had the story with Pelion, then you have the story with Wedge and Corin, and then you had the story with Town Card doing stuff, and they had the story with the the what's it called? I can't remember the names. The Empire, the three guys who were making this kind of orchestrated attempt to make it seem like Thrawn was back. Like those guys were, and also there was a little bit of a side story with Lando. So it's just like it's like give me. It's like yeah, it was just like too much for me. For me to kind of keep track of all of it personally. Like I would even like kind of just like skim through some pages. Honestly speaking, you know, I was just like, yeah. Done this with the Zimmer. Yeah, I'm really see. I haven't gotten to uh, the New Jedi Order books yet because I want to read the Young Jedi Knights novels first. I want to read those stories first before I do that, and I'm still missing a couple books, as well as the Junior Jedi Knight novels, which are about Anakin Solo. So I want to read all about the Solo kids before I get into that. So right now I'm just kind of currently just going through some of the more kind of the stories. I'm kind of working on. I'm kind of reading in a weird order. So I read obviously I read the Thrawn duology, and then I went back in time and I read I've been reading some of the like really early post Return of the Jedi stuff. I started with Truce Bakura. I read the Courtship of Princess Leia, which I loved. That's a really great book. one where Han and Leia get married. That was a really great book. And then and I read the Tatooine Ghost because I wanted to read a Leia story. How because that was kind of I kind of consider that the Leia trilogy. Because you kind of see it was all about her sort of learning to accept her biological father, Darth Vader. So I wanted to kind of read that whole story in one go. That was kind of my whole thing behind it. Yeah, I love Courtship of Princess Leia. That was a really good book. You can before, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to read all that stuff, but I still need to get all the books for the the solo story, the solo kid stories. So before I get into that, and so in the time being, I'm just kind of reading some of the older stuff. So I'm actually reading Kenobi actually right now. That's the one I'm working on right now. So having a lot of fun with that too. Um, and after that, I'm probably going to read Shadows of the Empire because that's one I really wanted to read. Um, and I'll probably read the other two Mara Jade books, The Choices of One and what's it called? Uh, Annihilation or something. It was no, what was it called? Allegiance. Those are the ones I want to read. After that, and I'll probably, I guess I'll start some of the stuff that happens after. Actually, no, I have to read the X-wing books next. Yeah, I have to read X-wing books, and then I'm still missing one. I'm still missing Solo Command. That's why I haven't read that series yet. I want to have the whole arc. That's kind of how I'm kind of approaching the expanding universe. I'm approaching it from I want to read specific arcs at specific times. So I want to have so like I don't know. I'm just weird like that. Going from like I'm not going from like the old Republic era to the new Republic era. I'm just kind of going in whatever direction I'm kind of like feeling. Yeah, if I want to read the old Republic era, I'll go to old Republic era and kind of just go from there. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to this stuff. And it's fun. It kind of keeps things more fresh. I can kind of yeah. With the prequels, I'm kind of used to jumping between timelines, so time periods. So yeah, Real Margate. Yeah, I wish. See, that's why I wish that they would continue the expanding universe. Is it's like there's so many stories they could tell, you know. But obviously, Disney doesn't want to make money, so they just want to spit in the face of fans. So, but yeah, I mean, maybe it's probably for the best that they don't continue the stories because they are getting because obviously the political stuff. But it's just like it's like I could totally see them doing like I could totally see like Timothy Zahn, doing like an origin story for Mara Jade because that's one thing that we don't really know about is how she how her what her family life was like um, in her story because we just all we know is that she was taken by Palpatine from her parents who were presumably dead at a young age and trained and all that, and so there's no real uh, backstory there. So that'd be a really cool story to kind of tell. I definitely would want Zahn to do it, even though he is kind of working with Disney a lot more. But I don't think he would say no to doing that kind of story for Mara. Non-wars, yeah. Not dude. When the High Republic stuff came out, I was at the bookstore, and I was at a bookstore that's very busy. Like it's in the one of the most busy malls in all of Canada. And the shelves were just packed full of High Republic novels, like hardcover novels, like for real. Like nobody was buying that shit at all. It's like like the hardest books to find in those stores are Legends books because those are the good shit. That's the good shit right there. That's the real Star Wars. Like, it's not the Disney stuff. The Star Wars doesn't count none of it. Yeah, 100% Fallout. But that is something I'm actually kind of a dreading because I do know what happens in most of the books. I do know that Mara Jade does die in the Legacy of the Force. Um, I am kind of dreading that, mostly because, from my understanding, there's not a I, just because I want to see because originally Tim Zahn he wanted to actually do a story about Luke and Mara and Ben like as a family unit. Like maybe it was like the idea was that it was like kind of like it was a family road trip story where Luke, Mara, and Ben were going off and exploring the unknown regions as a family unit. It was going to be more fun, more lighthearted sort of story, like that sort of thing. I would have loved that. I think that, and I think that they should, because I do know, I think that that should have been like maybe right before, like I think that I would have liked it if there was like maybe like a 10-year time gap between New Jedi Order and Legacy of the Force. That way you could have had like a kind of a golden era for Luke's family, like Luke's family unit, in that timeline. Like you have like 10 years of just Luke and Mara just being a good family unit, and having just more because it would be nice sort of break, right? Between because New Jedi Order, from my understanding, is a very, very dark story. From what I've heard about it, because I'm well aware of, I'm pretty well informed about sort of the idea what happens in those novels. Just I haven't read them personally, but um, I would want, but yeah, I would really want, but I would have really liked it better. I think I would have liked it better if there was like a time gap between New Jedi Order and Legacy of the Force. That way, in that time year gap, we would have had more lighthearted stories because it would be a nice sort of break from the dark stories that we had gotten and all that. And it would be nice to kind of see Luke and Mara as a family unit, as parents and all that, like, and give Ben a bit more character development as well, and so, I think that would make her death in Legacy of the Force even more heartbreaking because of that, because you spend so much time at seeing them as a family unit. Now, when you lose a part of that family unit, now it becomes even more devastating. I'm not saying it wasn't as devastating in the like, because I obviously haven't read it yet, but from my understanding, it was a very, very emotional, a very impactful sort of story moment in the story, and so um, yeah, it's something I would like to see personally done. But obviously, it's wishful thinking, but not worth buying Legends. They have been changing stuff in them, so they don't have to play. Oh, really? Well, I usually go to the secondhand bookstores to get the older novels, so that's where I get my stuff now. Oh, that's how I'm enjoying the expanding universe. Yeah, that is fucked up. I've heard about that. Like, I think uh, Carpenter or something like that. One of the authors was having troubles getting royalties or something. You are better off going to use a bookstore. Yeah, that's what I do. I always go for aftermarket stuff, unless if I can't find them anyway in like the retail stores. Not kill off Mara, killing her. Oh, see, I don't want that. I don't really want killing off is stupid, annoying, and useless. Yeah. But see, I don't really want them to do any more Legends characters in canon stuff. Like, I don't want that anymore. I what I want and what a lot of expanding universe fans really want is two timelines. Two timelines. The Disney stuff and then the old Legends timeline. We just want those two timelines to continue, um, separate, but still equally valid and still being worked on. Because I think that would be because obviously you don't want to piss off the Disney, because there are fans of the Disney stuff, maybe not as strongly as the old stuff, but they are still fans, whether we can rationalize it if we want, but or if we care or not, but we don't want them to lose their stories, just like we lost our stories with the legend stuff. So I think that makes more sense just to have two different stories going at once, because the whole reason why the expanding universe was discontinued was because they wanted creative freedom, and um, and they're not using that creative freedom if they're just going to keep retelling the old stories. They're not actually using that creative freedom. They're just they're just doing it. The only reason they're like like they're trying to do is they're trying to. I think a lot of it just comes down to they just don't want to pay royalties like to the old authors. Like if they use like a Dash Rendar type, like if they tried to do like a Dash Rendar story, well they'd have to pay the original creator of that character. So it's like they just create a character that's just kind of like Dash Rendar. Then I don't know. It's just, but we don't. But I don't want any more Legends characters to come back. I don't want like Revan to come back. I don't want Star Killer or any other characters. Like they should just make brand new characters. Apparently they might be bringing back Darth Talon, which is not going to be Darth Talon. It's going to be a completely different character. It's not going to be the same Darth Talon from the original story. So people getting hyped about that. It's not the same Darth Talon, guys. Like it's a completely different character. Doesn't matter how much, because it's not. And the reason why it's not going to be the same character is because the character went through different struggles and in a different type of galaxy. Like the Star Wars galaxy in Legends is not the same galaxy in canon. It's very, very different. And their stories, those stories, and those moments are what make those characters those characters. Just like if they try to bring Mara Jade, everyone knows it, because like Mara Jade just does not work in canon at all. Like Mara Jade, because anyone who knows Mara Jade knows that Luke, she would not allow Luke to end up the way he ended up in The Last Jedi. Like, let's be real. She would not allow that to happen. Like, she would come back, even if she was dead, she'd come back as a Force ghost just to kick his ass for ending up as a bum on an island, just giving up his responsibilities to his family, and all that. Like, it's like no, because that was the whole dynamic of the relationship, was that she was not afraid to tell Luke when he was fucking up. She was not afraid to tell Luke that he was making huge mistakes. You know, like you saw that in the duology I read. It's like she was straight up like called him out, like, hey, you weren't doing a good job here, you weren't doing a good job there. It's like you need to step it up. You need someone, and she argued that you need someone who can help you. You can't do that. You can't rebuild a Jedi alone. And that's one thing that she kind of helped Luke realize, that he can't just rebuild the Jedi alone. He has to he needs help. And that's what made their relationship so great. It's like she balanced out his idealism with realism. That was kind of like the whole dynamic of their relationship. With idealism with pragmatism. That was like why they are such a great pairing. So yeah, why was Luke's match in most ways? Yeah, exactly. And I hate the people who try to defend Rey and Kylo Ren and saying, "Oh well," because it's like obviously Kylo and Rey was definitely, because they say, "Oh, it's not a abusive relationship." It's like, well, what about Luke and Mara? It's like, okay, well, if you've ever read the Thrawn trilogy, you know that's a stupid question, because there was not a single moment in those books where Mara attempts to actually kill Luke. You can maybe argue the skip race scene where she's chasing him down the ship or whatever, but she wasn't trying to kill him. She was just trying to capture him and bring him back to the Talon Card's base because, yeah. And the only time I can really think of where she directly harms him is just the one moment where she strikes him with a little piece of ivy on his arm. But that was only because he needed a disguise in order to trick the Imperials into thinking that he was like a bounty hunter or something to get out of the forest, because they had Imperials waiting for them. So he just like that was the only instance I can think of, and it's a practical thing. It wasn't a recurring thing that happened in the story. Like there's never you never see her beat on Luke or anything or try to attack him. Like now she does say she wants to kill him, but we obviously find out later on that's not really the case at all. Like there was a lot of pain, a lot of torment behind her that was causing that. And that was just something that Luke kind of recognized, like almost immediately. He realized that no, you don't want to harm me. There's something else going on. Like yeah, basically, like it's like and it's healed up, so who cares? It's just like yeah, but like yeah, it's like but like no Luke, but like Rey and Kylo, like she like attacks like he like attacks her, like he tries to kill her a few times, like literally tries to kill her with like a lightsaber. Like it never happens with Luke and Mara in the book at all. And if anything, they're protecting each other from the wolves in the forest. Like they're protecting each other, and like even if she doesn't want to, she's still protecting Luke. Like that was the whole thing in that whole scene when they're first paired up together in the first book, and then uh, so it's a good story. I love Bear the Empire. It's such a great book, but they developed that story so well up in because it's like you because in the second book, she actually goes out of her way to seek out Luke's help in order to help you know free Talon Card. Like that was like a really great moment where she kind of because in the first book it was all about her learning to trust Luke, kind of or to realize he's not this evil guy. Like she's and then the second book was all about her learning to trust Luke and rely on him. And the third book was kind of like just them becoming friends. Like they actually developed a really good, strong relationship by the end of the third book, where they, were able to bury the hatchet and develop an actual, genuine sort of friendship and all that. It was great. It was a great storyline. But yeah, don't give him the excuse though. It doesn't count. Good times before the dark times. Yeah, yeah. It's yeah. I mean, they're both really shitty characters, Kylo and Rey. You know, yeah. Honestly, if they made Kylo Ren and Rey like Sith duo, like that'd be kind of cool actually, like a Sith couple, like that were just evil. Like that'd be actually be kind of fun. That'd be more fun actually. Just have like Finn be the main hero or whatever. That should have been the story, But obviously, it just didn't go that route. It's like so at least then it would make sense for them to be abusive or whatever, or attack each other. It's like, but no, it is an abusive relationship. It's just like, no, it's like you don't attack someone, you don't try to kill somebody you care about. Yeah, make him Lando Calrissian's son. That'd be cool, actually. Give Calrissian some love. I mean, actually, he did have a son actually in Legends, though. Chance Calrissian. another missed opportunity, Disney. Because of because of them canceling everything. Guess what? We can't get like. How cool would that have been? Like a Lando Calrissian book where with him and his family, because he had a wife too, a wife and a son in the EU. But like, that'd be cool if he ended up becoming like a Jedi or something like that. That'd be really really cool. You have a son, so that's a no go. Yeah. So I don't know. It is what it is. But there's like so many like, 'cause, like they also canceled with that. They canceled like the Jaina Solo books. Yeah, he became a robo perv as well. Yeah, it's fucked up. We cannot have nice things, can we? Yeah, it's just so much bullshit. It's like, get all these perverts out of here. Like, give us Star Wars for real. The Jaina books, she got screwed. Yeah, she's a great character, from my understanding too. Yeah. Now I've only read her in the Jedi Academy books, where she's kind of a brat, so I don't really have as strong of an opinion on her yet. But yeah, I probably should be wrapping this up pretty soon. Actually, gotta get going to get dinner ready. I think they're all right. Probably refine this one a little bit later on, but pretty much good. But so is the Lanakin, yeah. It is 8 p.m. Yeah, 8 man. Yeah. Well, 6 p.m. where I am. So, but yeah, I might actually go live tomorrow. We'll see. Um, I might go live tomorrow, maybe in the morning or in the afternoon, because I might do some Jurassic World streaming. I've been doing that a lot lately because it's easier to kind of do the Jurassic World streams than draw streams because I can just turn on the computer, play some games. Um, but with the draw streams, I have to plan things out a bit more. It's a bit more complicated, so that's why I might try doing like kind of a nice sort of a balance going forward, where maybe if I don't have art ready, I'll do a game stream or something. But yeah, yeah, I haven't seen the new Lantern show. I heard mixed things about it. Some people like it, some people don't like it, but I'm just not gonna bother. So I just don't care about it. I don't have any interest in DC stuff whatsoever right now. Like I don't think they'll ever get DC characters right. So, but but yeah, I think I'll just kind of work on this next few hours overnight. So, thank you guys so much for the amazing turnout. Uh, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Grumpy. Thank you, Dadman, and anyone else who was lurking. I had a lot of fun with this. And thank you guys for being here. Anyways, uh, kind of got this whole stream kind of got sidetracked from being a Peter Cullen tribute into a Transformers discussion, so into a Star Wars discussion. But you know, obviously, rest in peace to Peter Cullen. He was a legend. He was the greatest of us in a lot of ways. He truly embodied that character as an individual as well as an actor, as well as his performances. Um, you know, um, but yeah, but if you go back and rewatch the stream, I actually kind of talked before the stream got kind of more populated here. I actually went more into kind of stories of me talking about how I met Peter, Colin, and Frank. Um, and so if you want to, if you ever have a chance to maybe go back and rewatch the stream, if you can stand listen to my scratchy ass voice for that long, but yeah, but I can always talk about it more if people ask. But yeah, great person, great, and he meant a lot to me, a lot. He meant a lot to everybody else, I'm sure, and you know. And with that, I'd like to say thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. And I'll play a few clips I have pulled up. Just a second. Um, yeah. And rest in peace to all one. Yep. Thank you, Grumpy. Yeah. Yeah. Just give me a second, guys. I'm at a weird angle. All right, I got two videos I'll pull up. I'll do this one video and then I'll do the other one because I played this one at the very start of the stream, but obviously, didn't get a whole lot of people at the very beginning. So hopefully, mostly because I just haven't really been streaming a whole lot lately, so it's my own fault. But I'll be more. I'll try to be more active on here. But until next time, I'll probably be streaming tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll send this out with the clip. So I find that real quick, and talk to you guys later. See ya. That's fucking annoying. It's like can't get to play sound. I had the same problem a while ago too. It's annoying. Screen layout, audio. Maybe I'm trying to see this. How's this, guys? I don't understand why it's not. Is it working now? That's dumb. All right. Well, I'm just gonna. All right. Well, just go watch that video. You can probably find it somewhere. Just type in how Optimus Prime Peter Cullen came up with that voice. I can't find it for. I can't figure it out for the life of me. I'm dumb. But let me try again. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, well, I'll just leave it for now. I was gonna play it, but you can all probably go find it somewhere. I don't know why it's not working, but that's annoying. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll just kind of play one of these if I can find one. Yep, actually, this one will work fine. Let's do this one. All right, so yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Let's play this one. Oh, can't is okay. I was gonna here then. All right. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. I'll try to go live tomorrow. Except I forgot I turned off the I had to cancel my subscription to to StreamYards because I hadn't been paying. Or I canceled my subscription to the paid stuff just for money reasons. So, but yeah, I'll see you guys later. I'll probably be live tomorrow, like I said, for Jurassic World. I'm gonna play some of that, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.